Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Richmond's Morning News 704 here on the Voice of Virginia News Radio WRVA. I'm Rich Herrera. Remember, if you don't start your day with Richmond's Morning News, you're going to be playing catch-up. You'll fall behind everybody else. Don't fall behind. Make sure you tune in every morning. All right. I want to bring something up with you that I shake my head, I scoff, I laugh, and I want to know if you follow along with me. Follow me here. Why is it that we have such low opinions of our elected officials? Why is it we just don't believe in government anymore? I know there's reasons why we don't, but we seem to vote for the same people over and over again, and we still send them to Congress, to the General Assembly, to the governor's mansions, and we're never happy with any of them, and we get frustrated with them. I don't know why we do, but I've got another example of why people have such low opinions of our elected officials. Now, our elected officials are reflections of us because we're the ones who empowered them. Everybody wants to complain about Abigail Spanberger. I'm sorry, the people of Virginia elected her governor. So if you're going to point the finger at anybody, you point the finger at Virginia and the voters. They decided this is who we're going to send to the governor's mansion. And by the way, I know a lot of you have been sending me text messages on the James River Air text line 833-804-1140 talking about, well, you can't trust the governor. She's a CIA case officer, an agent, blah, 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 blah. And I said, folks, I just don't know enough to come up with comments, thoughts, commentary about that because I don't understand tradecraft, which is the toolkit that spies and CIA case officers have. So we were talking with Delegate Tom Garrett yesterday. He was talking about that. I'm like, I need some help with this because I'm not an expert. And one thing we're going to do on this show is we're not going to just go off half-cocked and talk about things that we don't have a handle on. So tomorrow on the program, I will bring on a former CIA officer, someone who worked for the Central Intelligence Agency. He wrote an op-ed in the Richmond Times-Dispatch. I followed up, and I'm talking to him, and we're going to sit down and have a conversation tomorrow about tradecraft and a lot of the assertions that you have sent me over the last few months about our governor and the CIA. So we're going to do that tomorrow on the program, and you don't want to miss that. But I want to get to another thing. Well, the different governor that quite honestly has me shaking my head and laughing, and that is the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. Because in case you didn't hear it, he's been on top of the fraud in Minnesota, and he's been fighting against it for the longest time. And I am not making this up. Yesterday, the feds raided 20 different locations after Nick Shirley, the guy with the cell phone, exposed the waste, fraud, and corruption that we've seen in Minnesota. Here's a report from Fox News.
The Justice Department telling Fox that a total of 22 businesses across Minneapolis were raided this morning by federal agents as part of its ongoing fraud investigation. Now, the targets included the Quality Learning Center. You might remember this went viral after infamously spelling learning wrong on a sign outside the building. That manager denied any allegations of fraud. Now, these fraud allegations in Minnesota have been back in the national spotlight.
All right, back in the national spotlight. J.D. Vance is in charge of rooting out fraud in the American government. And I think that 100% this should be something that every taxpayer should be rooting for. Don't waste my money, and certainly don't take the money out of my paycheck and give it to somebody who's doing something illegal. That seems pretty much like a 100-0 issue, or you would think. Because when Nick Shirley found all that fraud with the Somali daycare centers in Minnesota, you saw them attack him. They called him racist. They said it was white supremacist. They fought it. They said it didn't happen. They ran him out of town. They threatened him. And then you saw Tim Walz defend everything over and over and over and over again. They told you it was a smear until the FBI shows up yesterday. They had real raids, real investigations, Medicaid fraud big enough to bring everybody in with all of this waste, fraud, and abuse with all these child care centers that were getting federal funds. billions of dollars out of our tax coffers. We're running a deficit, and billions of dollars are being stolen by these fraudsters in Minnesota. And the people in charge, led by Tim Walz, said, there's nothing to see here. Or they said it was racist and we're going to stand with the Somali community. And you get out, Nick Shirley. You go away, news media that's looking into this. This is wrong, and we'll stand with these people and get the heck out of my state. Talking about all of this like it's something that goes on every day. But it turned out it was something that goes on every day in Minnesota. Because when it first started and people started asking questions, what was the response? No urgency, no action. And you see this all the time when you get someone caught with their hands in the cookie jar. You see the pattern. Deny, did nothing to see here. Attack, Nick Shirley is a racist. Reverse, this is the federal government's fault. And it reinforces why we keep losing trust in our government officials. You see this clearly in Minnesota. First, they denied it happened. Then they attacked Nick Shirley. Then they blame the federal government. And now they do what they always do. They're going to try to jump on the bandwagon to say, I took care of this. I took care of this. It was me. Because once they get done with all that and they have they're caught dead to rights, and they get done with the dismissal and attacking the messenger and then changing the subject, and now it's undeniable. Folks, I am not making this up. Tim Walz sent out a tweet yesterday claiming credit for working with the feds to root out the fraud that we see in Minnesota. I'm not making this up. Now he's saying we're cooperating. That's not discovering. That just being cornered and painted into a corner by reality. And you've got no other choice but finally admit that there has been fraud on a grand scale of our tax dollars being ripped off in Minnesota. Can't deny it anymore. So now he's trying to get in front of it like he's the one who went out and found it. First, you discredit it. Then when it blows up in your face, you stand next to it. You put your arm around it and go, that's right, folks. Me and the feds, me and the Trump administration, we're the ones who found all of this, and we're going to take care of sending these people out, and we're going to take care of all of this. Do you think we're that stupid? Do you think that I am that naive? Do you think that I've got that short of an attention span as the American people that we're not going to remember that you're the ones screaming and yelling that we're out there and we're racist and we're this and we're that because we're looking into the fraud? And then when you defended them for so long and now you can't, you want to take credit for rooting out the waste, fraud, and abuse in your state, Mr. Walz? Folks, that's just a classic textbook case of why we don't trust government anymore. If it takes a federal raid for a politician in a state that knows it has an issue to force them into action, that's not accountability, that's exposure. And in the end, it's Tim Walz with CYA. I think you know what CYA means. It just absolutely amazes me that you now see the people that were screaming and yelling. In California, they've actually introduced a bill to try to stop citizen journalists for doing the things that ABC, NBC, CBS won't do. The New York Times, the New York Post, LA Times, Chicago Tribune, all the big newspapers won't do investigative reporter. It's one kid in a stupid cell phone and a YouTube channel that found billions of our tax dollars being wasted. In California, where, by the way, I will tell you, I've seen some of the early investigative reporting by Shirley and some others. It could be even worse in California. I guarantee you we've got it here in Virginia. In California, they're trying to pass a law that would prevent you from looking into fraud the way the Nick Shirley did. And in Minnesota, they vilified him, and now Tim Walz wants to take credit for it. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was right there. Me and my buddy J.D. Vance and me and my buddy Kash Patel, we got out there and we found out. That's why people don't trust politicians. Because fortunately for us, we've got social media and we've got YouTube and we've got all these places to go find out really what they said 6 months ago and what they're trying to pass off today. It's absolutely amazing. But the American people need to stop putting your head in the sand when you get to the ballot box and hold these people accountable. And Tim Walz, if he wants to ride this thing in saying, I'm the one who found all this waste, fraud, abuse, how many of you actually believe him? Does he even believe it himself? Love to hear your thoughts this morning. The fact that the guy who watched over all this waste, fraud, and abuse in Minnesota is now claiming that he's part of this, by the way, just so you know, because he said that, we're a big part of this. Big thing that he said, we're the ones who found all this. The city of Minneapolis tweeted out shortly afterwards, we did not cooperate in any way, shape, or form with the feds in their investigation. There you go. That's all I need to know. Unbelievable. You want to comment? 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140 on the James River Air text line. We'll read your text messages coming up at 7:55. 833-804-1140 is the number on the James River Air text line. Let's talk about Relevate Property Guides.